All right, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get through this. I haven't been able to watch or listen to other people's coverage of the Charlie Kirk case, mainly because I don't want to be nudged from outside sources and influences, but at this point, I've sucked up enough of the data on my own that I'm going to start diving into other information soon. So, to people who sent me videos to check out, I will look soon. I just couldn't watch that stuff while I'm in the middle of my own investigations. Something has happened in the Charlie Kirk debacle online that is unprecedented. Something that I have never ever seen before. The operators and sock puppets came out in force, like massive force. And even operators that I follow and watch their comments on other platforms, on other subjects entirely, they were somehow pulled off their usual subjects and put on the Charlie Kirk videos. I swear to God, I have seen sock puppets who only attacked, let's say, videos that were critical of NASA, for example, show up on Charlie Kirk videos and begin to attack them. This really is unprecedented. They're out in droves. You know, we're on day 8. This happened the 10th. Today is the 18th. And I still don't know what happened. I'm not positive what happened. I'm still checking everything out. But these people had their mind made up the first day, right? Over a dozen accounts tried to post the exact same comment on my channel, word for word. And that post was, this entire event was 100% fake. And look out for Charlie is on to you guys. Letter for letter, word for word. They attempted to post this comment to pin the 100% fake and CGI shit on me. That is nefarious. So you have these operators posting it and the true believers, and it just shows that they don't understand how these magic tricks really play out. I'm going to explain to you how this goes down in 99.9% of cases, and it's really very simple. These people that show up at these events and don't realize what's going on, they're being had. Just like if you were to go see some old school magician like David Copperfield, or some magician like Chris Angel or David Blaine. There are two types of people at the event. Those who are honestly there to see the event and be entertained, and then the magician and his operators, whether that be plants in the crowd, those working the lighting, crowd participation. It's all part of the illusion. And 99.9% of average people in the crowd would have no idea that these people are mingling with them and are not there to be entertained. They're there to help pull off the operation or the magic trick, which in that case is to wow and entertain people. In the Charlie Kirk situation, the goal of the operator and the crowd is to distract, confuse, push other witnesses away, etc. And they have handlers and helpers who make sure that they are the only witnesses that the media talks to. And that is exactly what we have in this case. So back to George Zinn, who I talked about in my initial videos a lot. I got a lot of shit over the last week because I was talking about him. A lot of shit because I recognized what he actually was. I even got DMs, emails, everything. People saying all kinds of shit. Then, after this all plays out, it comes out that Zinn told the police the exact same thing that I was claiming on my videos. George Zinn says that he was there to help the real shooter get away. Here it is. Man falsely claimed he shot Kirk to distract from real gunmen. So he was running his mouth, kind of opening up his mouth and telling part of the magic trick. He's conveniently busted with some really gross ass CP. He was out there talking, said some stuff, seems to have a big mouth, spewing shit. Perfect time for him to be arrested and put away, at least until this whole thing blows over. Now, remember this witness couple? People had some really, really crazy shit to say about this. They knew way too much about George Zinn out of nowhere. So this comment said, that guy is Zinn's friend. And I said, well, that's a crazy coincidence. Of all the thousands of random people on the street to do an interview, it would be George Zinn's friend, right? But I'm going to prove he's not his friend. Then this genius comment left says, they obviously were watching the guy that was first arrested for the shooting. You can surmise a lot from just observing a person and hearing their conversations and watching a person's behavior. LOL, It's not rocket science. Really? They figured out his name, the fact that he was crazy, poor, and broke, and that he might be on medication, and that he didn't do the shooting, all from watching him get arrested. This is genius shit right here. Listen to what he says. I was hoping somebody would catch it, but no one caught it. He says George Zim, with an M. He pronounces it wrong. Why does he pronounce it wrong? He knew what he was there to do, but he got the name wrong. Listen.
Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Sim, and I don't think it was George Sim, and I don't think it was George Sim, and I don't think it was George Sim.
Zim with an M when his name ends with an N. They don't know him. They were there to talk about him. That's it. Now, let's circle this Discord chat and the chats that he was doing with his quote-unquote lover. The chat is fake as fuck. It is worse than the Audrey Hale writings. And the Audrey Hale journals were put together by someone who was born in 1985 or earlier. Guaranteed. The Tyler Robinson chat logs seem to be written by a Hollywood scriptwriter because he feels the need to drop plot details throughout the entire thing. And that's great for movies so that you can get an understanding of what is happening or why it's happening. But when you are trying to depict real life and how teenagers or early 20-somethings write messages, it couldn't be more amateur or hack job. So let's go over it, because this person was so detailed in Hollywood about dropping unnecessary info throughout the entire thing that I honestly can't believe he didn't send an image of his fingerprints through the chat, right? You know, like, my love, here are my fingerprints just in case they have to identify my body. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. So he texts the trans person and says, drop what you are doing. Look under my keyboard. When the roommate looked under the keyboard, there was a note that allegedly read, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. Roommate, what? You're joking, right? Robinson, I am still okay, my love, but I am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. What? Shouldn't be long. There's no what's, you know, like W-U-T or okay. No slang. It's all Shakespearean. Shouldn't be long until I can come home. But I gotta grab my rifle still. Had to mention the rifle, right? To be honest, I had hoped to keep this a secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you, but yet you involved them. You know, it doesn't make sense. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point, shortly after. That is operator talk, drop point. But most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of this hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. Are they serious with this, man? This is crazy shit, dude. Like, crazy. And they're saying that a 22-year-old, someone who has spent their whole life on devices and texting and technology, typing, is typing this stuff out. Let's keep going. Robinson, if I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. No evidence. I will have left no evidence except for this entire digital paper trail. An admission that he knows he's leaving behind because Zoomers aren't that stupid. And then it says, going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? So the roommate's almost helping the story move along, right? If it is the roommate. Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close. He keeps going back to this, but no one's asking. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. Vehicle, not my car, my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring Grandpa's rifle. Then he says, if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Like he's telling this person every single thing that he did. This is not real. This is a script writer who thought that they were writing a real conversation. Amateur night. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the expletive will I explain losing it to my old man? The only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Are you seeing the problem with this? And then he has to bring this up. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulges UWU on Fox, I might have a stroke. Alright, I'm gonna have to leave it. That really sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. He just keeps bringing this up over and over. I think it was a 2K scope. Delete this exchange. Knowing that it's already on record. Everybody knows this. It's like deleting your text messages. It doesn't matter if you delete your text messages. They can just get all the messages from the phone company. This is the most retarded shit I have ever read in my life. It's worse than Audrey Hale. Then he goes on to say, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Like, to the T, I'm going to give you all the information over this digital exchange. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty die-hard MAGA. Then it gets even crazier when he ends this with saying, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of the neighbors here is a deputy sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. If he was so worried about his love, then why did he make sure that he was in jail and away from them for the rest of his life? And then the roommate writes back, I'm much more worried about you. And then he writes, after all of that craziness, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Absolute bullshit. And I'll say it again. You're trying to tell me that a Zoomer who grew up with technology came up with this entire elaborate plan of action. He switched his outfit to evade detection, covers all his tracks, doesn't come off the roof with a rifle, but is able to hide that rifle in the woods. He pulls all of this off, including the shooting, with precision, and then he promptly begins leaving a digital confession, an ironclad digital paper trail that will surely get him convicted? Really? He's either got another personality that takes over, and that personality absolutely sucks at life, or these people want you to believe that this guy is totally stealthy, but is also a total retard, which just means the people pushing this text script believe that you are a retard. Every single character who is part of this in one way or another is some kind of shady operator. This cheering dude is actually one of the sloppiest characters in the whole thing. And he's so brazen in his sloppiness that it's actually embarrassing. You can tell that he's used to controlling the conversation or expects people to automatically accept every word that he says, regardless of how absurd or unrealistic it is. So after people came after this dude, he released a video. And the video is fucking nuts. There's two of them. So this is it. After the heat went on and the outrage came, he totally made these videos to explain what was going on. Let's listen to what he says.
The event opened with music, people throwing hats, and loud exchanges from different parts of the crowd. Some shouted offensive remarks directed at the LGBT community, while others made disparaging comments about the Prophet of Islam. There were also cheers, boos, and offensive hand gestures, mockery. The atmosphere carried an energy of
He's obsessed with mockery. It's really bizarre.
Confrontation more than dialogue. The first debater tried to persuade Charlie to adopt Mormonism, but the exchange drifted into a disjointed back and forth of opinions. The audience eventually booed him off the platform. Another speaker raised the idea of restricting gun rights for transgender individuals. Citing Donald Trump as an influence, he began to reference statistics and posed a question. Charlie's response turned to the subject of gang violence as a part of the mass shooting statistics. At that point, I did not see what happened directly. My head was lowered while I listened.
That is a weird comment. My head was lowered, so I can't witness anything. My head was lowered at that point. I was in silent prayer, right? Very weird, but we'll let him keep going.
When I heard a sharp crack, at first I thought it might have been fireworks or a disruptive prank.
Okay, listen to that. He just said it. When I heard a sharp crack, I thought it might have been fireworks or a disruptive prank.
So I looked up to the horizon for smoke. When none appeared, I realized it must have been a firearm.
No, because keep listening.
My friend reacted in horror, saying Charlie had been struck. His voice and description told me how serious it was. Based on his reaction, I believed Charlie had been gravely injured. I instinctively checked the security team's movement, though I have no affiliation with them. Realizing the situation was dangerous, I stood and shouted USA, not as a provocation, but to project strength, encourage others, and create a distraction that might help calm panic or even save lives. At that moment, no one knew whether this was a lone shooter or something coordinated. My friend was devastated. He admitted he admired Charlie deeply. I only knew Charlie through minimal content, but would never wish to celebrate harm to anyone. Because of my background as a soldier.
Okay, there he says it. Because of my background as a soldier. So he's a soldier. He has experience with guns. You don't even have to be a soldier. You just have to be experienced with guns. Or have some experience with guns. And you will never, ever mistake a gunshot for a loud crack or a firework. It is absolutely bullshit. So this guy claims to be a military guy. And I have to ask, which military? The United States military? What country's military specifically, dude? He claims he served his country for 6 years. Which country? Because he really tries to pull the wool over our eyes a few good times. And usually, military guys are pretty straight shooters. But David here, he's playing a game. Yet he tries to claim that he mistook a gunshot for fireworks or some other sound. This is probably beginning to really confuse people out there who have never heard real gunshots or have no experience with guns, and that confusion is intentional. I am tired of hearing people say, I heard fireworks, or I heard a popping, or I heard a popping sound. That is a relatively new phenomenon that started with like S-Hook. People calling gunshots popping sounds, when we all know that the sound of a gunshot is extremely distinctive. When you hear a gunshot, you know it. Nobody believed his story. He tells this crazy-ass story. He was waving his hands to be a distraction. It's absolutely insane.
Stay calm under stress. Focus on protecting and comforting my friend. Afterward, I called my wife to let her know I was safe. Once traffic eased, we left.
Here, everybody is down on the ground. He claims he didn't see Kirk get shot because his head was down. But in this photo, while everyone else is really low to the ground, both of these guys are watching gleefully. These guys are not what they seem. So what happened was, after this guy put out his first absolutely absurd video, he became very angry. He became angry because people are not buying bullshit like this David guy's story anymore. He can't just lie and make you accept it anymore. But he's done that all his life. But it suddenly doesn't work anymore, and that infuriates David. So in the next video, he goes on a temper tantrum-fueled rant about quasi-religion, mocking people, and attacks on other figures on the right, all because people didn't buy his hole-filled tale of contradictions. Let's watch this. It's totally unhinged.
You know, all this chatter is absolutely incredible, but I'm actually really burnt. I'm honestly like the happiest person you have ever met in your entire life. And I am absolutely sick of all of my soldiers, including Charlie, dying so you guys can mock each other. Mock away and see what happens.
See, he drags the person who died into it to try to cover his own ass.
I am done with my soldiers dying while everyone just mocks each other. Mock, mock, mock. You think that that's a solution? You know every major religion speaks out against mockery. And I saw mockery. And I saw a mob just energized with mockery.
So now his hate for the Charlie Kirk crowd is coming out. Well, you didn't have to be there, dude. You wouldn't catch me at a Charlie Kirk convention, you know? But whatever.
Absolutely laughing. This is John Oliver. This is Matt Walsh. This is Louder with Crowder. This is all the mockery that's existed on both sides of the equation. And it's killing my soldiers, my people, and I'm done.
Ugh. So do I believe that David here is actually a military guy? Yeah. Do I believe he was in the U.S. military? I highly doubt that. But what I will tell you, before being outed as the cheering guy, he was making some very thinly veiled posts about sacrifice, basically. This was before he got popped as the cheering guy. This was September 10th. Dude says, I am tracking the situation at Utah Valley University closely. Please join me in praying for Charlie Kirk and the students gathered there, right? So this is him. He says in this post, if it is in your will, O God, if I truly will it, if reality can bear it, and if the world is bettered by it, then let the life return, and let it flow stronger than the power of martyrdom. If not, let the martyr's sacrifice stand, and let its meaning endure. That is a creepy ass message. He's saying if the sacrifice has purpose, then leave it alone. If the sacrifice turns this person into a martyr and it accomplishes our goal, then leave it alone. I do not believe for 1 second that this guy was trying to be a distraction to help people. Get the fuck out of here. Here's something weird that I want to point out. When I was talking about the magic tricks, it seems like they heard these witnesses in, and these witnesses all have the right story. But what's really weird is the witnesses that were interviewed in the very beginning, they all said that he was shot in the chest. And that's very bizarre. Let's check it out.
It was a good shooter, a sharp shooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart.
One shot directly right to the heart. Wow. He was shot in the neck. Pretty weird, right? Well, he's not the only one who says it. And here's another one who says the same thing.
I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest. And
I saw it hit him in the chest. That guy said he shot him in the heart, directly to the heart. She watched him get shot in the chest. But that's not what happened at all. Don't you find that a little bit weird that all those initial witnesses that they had gathered up had the story wrong? Now, bizarre enough, Fox News is like agreeing with me on a lot of this shit. Listen to what she says in the very beginning.
Now, little did Robinson know at this point that by providing so many details, he was writing his own charging document.
Everybody knows that. No one in their right mind would have done that. The dude did this whole operation, and then he fucks it all up with a digital confession. It's mind-blowingly stupid. Now, I want you to listen carefully to this part. The Fox News anchor says, this seems phony, and it seems fake, and dude will not acknowledge her when she's saying that. Check this out.
This dastardly act.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that he was plotting, as he said in his text messages, George, for a week, and his romantic, partner knew nothing about this. He was just plotting away solo. I mean, something about this whole text exchange seems kind of phony to me.
Something about this whole text exchange seems kind of phony to me. It's what she just said.
I don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, some of it seems phony to me. It seems too cute by half, but.
Wow.
It does, but they'll have to assess that because maybe his reaction really was, I just don't believe he would do something like this.
It sounds fake because it is fake. It is absolutely 100% worse than the Audrey Hale case. Now, I want to say again that we have a lot of learning to do, and I don't trust anybody who had this figured out on the 10th of September, or somebody who had it figured out on the 16th of September. I have a lot of learning and research to do before I can even start forming an opinion on this. I'm just showing you that all of this is very, very messed up. You know, people could go to 1,000 different Charlie Kirk events, and they were all exactly how they appeared to be. Heated debates, right? But all the people at this one in Utah on that day, September 10th, were at a David Copperfield show, or the Chris Angel show, or the David Blaine show. There were people in the event, these witnesses, and the guy that jumped up and cheered, but he was just cheering to cause a distraction and all this crazy shit. Those people are there as operators, plants in the crowd, working for the lighting, the crowd participation. It's all part of the illusion. And as we figure out who these people are and who they're really connected to, it will all make sense, because it was a sloppy, sloppy job.